Hey everyone, Roxanne. Thanks all for tuning in to Odyssey of Ascension. This is some of the workshop material we had last week's workshop. Sly's going to speak on what we've loaded up here. We have some other material we're working on. And just to let you know, we didn't plan on recording the workshop. It just kind of happened at the end or at the last minute. So the camera angles aren't the best. The audio is not the best. Well, we cleaned it up the best we could, so you guys can get some of the insight that we work on here at Odyssey of Ascension about enlightenment, and Sly, of course, is part of that. So enjoy the video, and if you are interested in the Ascension classes, the new set of Ascension classes are starting on May 2nd. You get an audio and a video recording of all the classes. So if you can't make it because of the day, or you live overseas, which we have several students that live around the world that still sign up and get the recordings and work that way. You can, even if you can't make it, you will have the recordings. And with that, you will, of course, get one-on-one time with me to offer clarity. So enjoy the video. Think about the classes. If you really want to understand what is going on without reason, questions, and answers in the ongoing cycle of emotions, join these classes and we'll show you the insight about enlightenment. Thanks for tuning in once again. Appreciate you all. Enjoy the video. Bye. That's the element. I like calling it an element. Roxanne came up with that when she was teaching car salesmen. You can learn all of the sales procedure, but the dynamic that changes every procedure each and every time is the element of HU. You're adding a human, a free will into the mix. Fireworks. Change, right? So when you decided to come here, all of you decided to come here, it's because it was a vibrational match and you would never say no to it, because why would you say no to the unknown when that's what you are by nature? The only reason why you guys say no is because you're afraid. But fear was the experience to allow you to say, oh my God, I can't do it.
So the Palladians went through all of this before as well?
No.
So then why did we choose this?
Well, it's not we. It's the individual that said, okay, here's an incarnation that when you go there, you're separated to experience not knowing your God. And many of the Pleiadians did it. Many of the Arcturians did it. Many other ideas did that. It's not a species that does it. It's a creator that does it. The creator comes in and does it. Not another species. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah.
It isn't a pleasant ride, and the angry mind doesn't understand why it does it to itself. But that statement itself is why you did it, so you have the ability to go, fuck you, what did I do to myself? And you can't get that out there because you're a whole God that doesn't have resistance against itself. Resistance was created in externals. Remember, when you're internal and you're whole, if you have a vibration, okay, a signature, that's nature of yourself. And that nature, don't forget this, is unconditional. That's your state of being. It's not an act. It's not an emotional act. Unconditional love is, I love this team. So good. That's not unconditional love. It's a state of being. That's the nature. So when you're in your whole self, your signature is vibrating everything I love. Unconditionally what I am. So I attract thousands of things to my reality so I can experience Law 5, the change of me. the constant change, the constant growth, the gestalt of the social memory complex growing because the creator decided, I want to know everything, and it's going to take me forever to do it. I can't help it. Because that's what a creator is by nature. A scorpion is a scorpion by nature. It's going to fucking kill you, sting you. It's going to do what it does. You can't get mad at a scorpion. You can't get mad at the table. The table is a table. You are a creator. So you invite every day change so you can grow. This experience is a growth. It's a forging of your will. It's taking and growing the gestalt. Without it, you don't get to bitch. You don't get to cry. You don't get to suffer. You don't get to scream. You don't get to cry in the idea of joy. You don't get to feel exalted and alive and excited. Because you can't get that on Pleiadians. If you guys went to Pleiadians as a fucking human, you're like, damn, you guys are boring.
Yeah. Yes, and what is that?
If you took your, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys got TV? Is there something you want? What are you going to do? Oh, God, okay. Do you have cell phone service so I can fucking do it now? It's a whole different game. But from them, that's an attraction of change. When a squirrel is a squirrel, they're not less than, they're alive and they're squirrel shit. Ooh, nuts. Little cat. They're alive in that. You guys are alive as the HU, the human. And everything you experience is the human. When you came here, you didn't ask why. You go, fucking A, next. Let me absorb consciousness. Let me get as much as I can. Why wouldn't you want to come here and be a midwife and suckle 20 babies? Why wouldn't you want to come here and grow up to be a soldier and go to war 1,000 times and die 1,000 times? Why not? What are you rejecting? You don't reject, is the point. You live over and over again. And then all the opportunities. Some of you will come back and say, I'm going to be a fucking astronaut this time around. I'm going to tap in and be the next Mozart. How many Mozarts are out there right now? Billions. But there's only a few on Earth that you guys are vibrating. Because there's a billion fucking Earths. But you're in a co-created consciousness. What's that Earth that you're on? You're on the Ascension. Aren't you? How many other Earths are not interested in Ascension? Plenty. Post-apocalyptic, very popular Earth. Really alive people are living. Why aren't you there? Because you're not fucking interested in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Technology Earth, where everything works. You're not interested in it because you don't get to wake up on that. No one has a problem with AI. There's no politics. There's no division. No one has racism. Everything is, oh my God, let's have some fucking fun. All the fun people said, let's go over here. And they went there. You guys didn't. Why? Because you're on the Ascension Earth. You're very interested in ascending. I'm interested in teaching Ascension. That's why. Are you guys following that? Okay. So, when this idea of this vibrational signature is a state of being, and you came here to the idea of attraction as a potential to experiences, and you started off on one of those Earths over here, and you had a lot of potentials to go to different Earths. But the nature of you, that social memory complex, the nature of you directed you with your behavior of your I'm going to choose me worthiness said, we're going this way. You didn't know where you were going. You ended up here. Because of the nature of you. Everybody listens. Sometimes you don't listen to yourself, but the more the more you don't listen to yourself, right, the easier it becomes. You're like, I'm not going to listen to egos. But what about don't listen to the nature? So then it becomes boring. But that's the class of vibrational practitioner. That's the idea of discernment. And take that mind that questions and angers and recognize that bitch and say, fuck you, it doesn't matter, and let it hurt to where you want to slit your wrists. Because it hurts so much and you're so angry.
Yeah, it will.
This crazy bitch got so mad so many times, screaming at the top of her lungs, breaking dishes, breaking pots and pans. She took this, she was so mad that she did this to us. What were you going to say?
Same thing. I experienced the same thing. But when you get to that point where you just cannot take it anymore, reach out. I'll call Roxanne, or you have my number, call me. Yeah, because you'll get to that point where you feel like slitting your wrists, and it's
And it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's no, you're not going to die.
You're not going to do
You're
it.
not going to do it. You're not going to
You're
die.
just reacting.
Yeah.
And that's where school of recognition is so vital.
Because
You know that you're caught up in it and you're reacting to the situation that gives you an emotional identity is why you came here to have that experience. But if you want to change it, you can't get rid of it. You have to transcend it.
Yeah.
Because it's in the nature of the fractal. It's the nature of the fractal because you came here and forgot everything. So any child born in one environment becomes an absolutely different child born in another. But the social memory complex gestalt is still fucking there. And it'll pierce through over its lifetime. Those are the behaviors you can't explain about yourself. Those are the things you're like, I don't give a fuck. That's the nature.
That's okay.
Well, you can call them past lives, but they're your other incarnations. Every experience as yourself. Go ahead.
So everyone has their own unique social memory complex, or everyone is tapping into their preferences in the one social memory complex?
Of course. That social memory complex. Hi, Tommy Jean, you found your shirts. Yes. You get some sleep, darling? Okay, you want a chair? Sure. You want to sit? Where do you want to sit? You want to sit on this side? Sure. Come on around. How about over there? Maybe back. Oh yeah, can you see from here?
Now shift a bit here and
Or maybe sit back there.
Maybe
Yeah,
back here.
y'all can shift. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sit
There
to
we
the
go.
left.
There we go.
Glad you got some sleep, Roxy says. Me too.
hey,
So that social memory complex that you created in you holds up. It influences but doesn't direct you. The fractal is running the show. Because if we didn't have the fractal running the show, then there's not the experience of total separation. So when we get here, it all goes, every will, every ounce, every power, everything goes to the fractal, and the fractal creates its life. Then you recognize it. And then you decide to wake up. Get comfy, Tommy, whatever you need. Yes.
I just was for Dominique wanted to say that, you know, I used to feel that way, like, why would I want to do that? Like, why? And then I had some moments where I could feel, I could be in that unconditional state, feel that whole self. And first they were really fleeting, and now they'll be a bit longer. And I can kind of feel what Sly was saying. Like it feels awesome, but I can kind of feel how it might get a little boring, even though it feels great, and I can kind of feel that, oh, yeah, to experience more coming into incarnation and being in this density would be more to experience. It would be so different.
Yeah.
When I first felt it, I would feel like, oh, I can't hold on to it. Shit, now I'm back in this,
State of being.
Yes.
This funk.
But it did give me understanding, and I think it's really cool that when you want to understand something, like when you're asking that, you'll show yourself. You'll show yourself at some point, and then you're like, oh, and then there's more. But I just wanted to say I do, when you were saying it could be boring,
Right.
things are boring.
If you go up there as a human.
Yeah.
See, the Pleiadians aren't bored, the Arcturians aren't bored,
Yeah.
because they don't have the ability to perceive boredom,
Yeah.
because there's no lack of that self.
Yeah.
But the boredom for the humans is actually feeding the self.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an emotional state, right?
Yeah.
Because your natural state is unconditional love. See, if let's say I decided to, So let's use Tommy, since he came in and he's a catalyst of change. So Tommy is a reptilian. He's a draconian, right? So when he's a draconian, he doesn't think about what's for dinner or what he needs to do, what he wants to do, and what's he going to do to entertain himself. Because he doesn't have an emotional state of lack. When he's a draconian, he gets up in the morning and he does his reality, whatever that reality is. And it is an unconditional reality, which is incredibly hard to imagine when your resources is the HU factor. Remember, everything you're doing is coming from the human. But to go beyond the human, you've got to work in the human to deconstruct it, to allow beyond the human in and conceptualize. Right? Which is deconstructing the human and allowing a new species to be birthed. The Homo Divinicus, the creator that is a God, awoken a God in the human incarnation. So it's divine. Sending Divinicus, doesn't matter, call it what you will. But it's not up to some committee. There's no one out there running this fucking thing. This is all for you, and you get to choose what it is. So if you're looking at, aware of, observant of, recognition of, looking at the experience without the emotions, then you can see a whole fucking lot about what's going on and how you're creating your life. But emotionally, it hurts. It doesn't feel good. Why doesn't it feel good? Because this isn't a feel-good planet. This isn't a feel-good place. We, as a collective, we run after feel-good. We have entertainments and all kinds of ways to make us feel good, but that's not permanent. So instead of trying to fix it or change it and make the outside fit the inside, you change the inside where the inside becomes the outside. And you return to the signature of yourself, the unconditional love state of being. Right? But that's the deconstruction. That's the journey. That's the odyssey of ascension. Epic voyage of awakening. It's tough.
Yeah, but it feels so good when you find that nature self.
Yes.
The unconditional part of you that
Roxy got it like 4 or 5 times, that unconditional part.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn, everything is fine. I am shit.
Yeah.
And then
like God,
you run across another part of yourself and you're like,
Yeah.
Again?
Got more work to do.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was just going to ask you if that was permanent, but it's not.
No. It gets better each and every time, little by little, but you can't put it within the HU factor, the human factor of expectations, because this society got fast. When you went industrial, you got fast. Now. Get there quicker, live more life, do more, because that'll make me happier. What a fucking blowjob that was.
Right.
It's fucking bullshit. You know,
Not even a good one.
and how do you think all of it, with all that time, everyone before the industrialists created this outstanding lives in all of these cultures around the world? They created because they had time and they weren't bored. Because they had to survive. You guys took survival away and made it easy. As long as you had money, it's easy. That's what industrial is. So now you're seeking the emptiness in a different way. The fulfillment of life was survival. To live, to eat, to survive the winter. You guys don't survive the winters anymore. You fucking go to HEB. You go to work, you get your money. That's the consciousness of evolution of what we call mass events or the collective. And you work within those parameters. But now that you're awake, now you change everything. Right?
And it's a skill set too. The more you go into that unconditional version of you, or that isness, I call it. When you go into the isness, it's a skill set to stay there more and more. Because the human, you'll bounce right back out of it into.
Yeah, you go quickly back out to the
Yeah.
human because it's such a habit and familiar place.
Yeah.
It's easy,
It's
seductive to be human.
Yeah. Very
But that's why recognition is so important. That's why Roxanne wants to teach recognition 5 days a week for a fucking month. So she drills it into you.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
But we work in evolution. We can't do that. We couldn't wait to start the classes and do it when everything is in place. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because Roxanne is evolving this and she attracts people to help her evolve it. That's you. Right? And you get out of it whatever you get out of it. Just like the squirrel. It gets out of it whatever it's going to get out of it. But it's not lacking. The only one that can lack anything is a human. Because you have that built-in process. Because I was born a guy, right? Yeah. Break it down. Be decadent. By inclination. Maybe change it up. Get out. We're not fucking jumping in.
We'll play with you later. Guys.
She comes later.
She comes later. We play with her.
So let's look. Let's look at this right here. God goes over and creates an NG, not God. Let's look at it in that terms. Okay? So when not God looks at its reality, which is, what is its reality by nature? God. Okay? Let's understand that God is this consciousness. That's what creation is. Creator creates consciousness to reflect. So it's God creating himself. We all on board with that? Yeah. Good?
All one.
Good. So this not God being, the fractal looks at God and goes, I'm not God. That's not God. It claims itself. That's not me. It is me. It's always been. Everything I do is a reflection of me. But it claims it in resistance. So it gets the experience. And the experience is an absence of self. Whole, not God, not whole. So there's no worthiness. There's no gestalt. There's no social memory complex. There's utter emptiness. I'm telling you, had an insight with Roxanne about it when he remembered when he got here in the incarnation. It was terrible. First experience when you show up. It's a vibration because there's no not God, or there's no God, there's only not God. So what are you going to get? An absenteeism of your entire goddamn gestalt in one fucking split second. That's why it's a master class. Don't deny what you've given yourself. Not done to yourself, given yourself. The gift of not God. With the potential, which you all have achieved, to know I'm God without going through a death. Got a good one on that, huh? Oh, yeah. It's got to learn, see? So always remember. So in the God, not God formula, we created one of the things that we talked about. What did we talk about in class? Roxanne talked about in the beginning classes, in the recognition classes, and then of course the transcendence class is externalism, right? Isn't? Yeah. Close enough. So this not God was attaching its own creation as outside of itself. That is over there. You're the air, not here. All of this is here. This is consciousness attracted, reflecting this. It comes and manifests in all kinds of forms. In the forms of bodies that entities co-create to come in and adventure with Roxanne. In the form of table and tablecloths and carpet and gravities and lights. All of this is not God. So they're not God. Not me. It's external. It's outside. So you grow dependent on externalism because it validates what you only know yourself as. Not God. And once you learn about not God, how to be terrified, how to be needful, hopeful, wanting, lackful. Because that's what the planet is. Remember what happened? Any of you read the Angelics? Okay, so you remember the idea about the daywalkers from the book. Those are the humans. One guy that said, I'm going to just keep going to human because it's so fascinating. And then that day, the human.
Why don't you sign that for me too?
I'll have Roxy sign it. Unless you want Sly to sign it, but you got to get the author.
Both of you. Come on.
Yeah. So, anyways, the daywalker spent more and more time, and then it forgot. Because that was an attractive manifestation of potential. And then the humans were born. The experience is one. Because creation is going to do one thing and one thing only. It's going to find every ounce of potential. Because that's a law. The laws change. We will never have permanency.
What do you mean by find every ounce of potential?
Every single ounce of potential, every single ounce of change.
Something to explore.
Something to explore. I mean, look where you're at right now. Look where you're going next. Where you're going next. And then where you're going after that. Scotland.
Oh, Scotland, yeah.
So, isn't that change?
Mm-hmm.
That's potential. That's what you attract by nature. So creation is going to find it, and it happened to find separation. Externalism, not God. It created its own potential because the creator doesn't think about it. It attracts it, and then the creator looks at it and goes, let's investigate. And then he finds out. We find out what we're going to get. What are we afraid of if we're invincible? If we create our own reflection, there's no loss. You created the experience of, oh my God, this is dangerous. I might die. I'm afraid. That's part of the attraction to know the possibilities of creation for each of when they're born. Come from the loneliest drunkard that's in a sewer right now, you know, on a 3-day bender, to the greatest idea of whatever you revere nowadays that's billionaire money or success. Each one is a guy journeying in his perfect, unique discovery. I gotta know what it's like to be homeless. I gotta know what it's like to be hungry. I gotta know what it's like to have the ability to walk into a dealership and buy 5 Lamborghinis for me and my friends because I'm a billionaire. I've gotta know that. If I don't know that, I'm cheaping myself. Why would I, the creator, cheat myself? I'm not. You get that? See that? Everything is going to be explored. That's why everything is happening. Because we want to know about it. We are insatiable explorers to know about it. Sometimes you spend 1,000,000 years in one incarnation. 1,000,000 years exploring one incarnation. Because you don't have time. You'll never run out of it. So it doesn't matter how long you've done something, only to the bored mind. But this life is full of change. This life is full of potential, but the stagnation of humanity is built on the structure of lack. So you try to keep yourself in a certain state of being by controlling your reality, which is actually creating the experience. Mediocre, same job, 30 years, afraid to take a chance. And all you have to do is point your focus on something and it'll start to happen. That's how you can globe-trot the nation. And you have your backup of your TV company and your executive position, you got your team. But that's not the reason. The reason is because you willed it. I want to go and live all over the fucking world. You did. Right? So each and every one, you've got to look at the nature. It doesn't matter that you love your job or you're doing your job. We're not saying walk away from your job or change your life. We're saying look at what you're doing and understand the relationship behind it and discern the truth behind those ideas to find out if you really are in love with your moments. And then it doesn't matter, again, the external. That moment that says, I want to be this truth today. Doesn't matter what the consciousness. This moment right now, I said I have to be this truth. That's when you change your behavior. That's when you change your reality. Doesn't matter who's on the other side of the mirror. Doesn't matter if you're at work or at home. Like Roxanne last night launched on fucking Twiddly Dum about the 64 degrees. That was a moment. She would not have been any other person. If she would have been any other person, that would have been rude to Roxanne. That would have been being the not God. Because gods don't look or act like anything. They are unconditional. Only your mind perceives how the squirrel should act, or how they should act, or what they should do. But that's the creator creating its own reality, isn't it? So however he perceived that interaction has nothing to do with Roxanne, unless she's externalized. And then she has guilt. She don't care. She got that. She evolved that. That gives you so much fucking freedom to be yourself, which only enhances that social memory complex access to bring up yourselves. All of those little selves you've incarnated as will help you remember the signature. The signature. You're not God. You're externalized. You take down the externalism, naturally the signature comes back through the ancestries or the past lives, as you said. We call it the ancestry. We put it in the idea of what you're focusing on now, it's not now, so that's called your ancestor. It's not necessarily in time. It's not history. But that's easiest term. So you tap into all of those songs.
This idea of boredom, since you said it's just going on in my head, boredom, because I noticed when I was coming in my journey, I had a long wait at the New York airport. And normally, my life is really entertaining, it's just non-stop fun after fun. But I arrived at the airport and now I have this time, and I was not feeling like doing anything, and I'm like, I feel strange because it's boring and it's not fun. And I was just observing this, it was not working, this idea. So I didn't know what to do, but I just started observing people around and I entertain myself, watch the kids, but then watch OA on the laptop or something. And I was wondering that is my ego judging me? Say, oh, you always need to be doing something to entertain yourself.
And whenever you're questioning yourself why you're not doing something, it's always the ego. Because the God never talks to himself. Because the God doesn't recognize another self.
So if I find myself getting bored, I will do whatever I want.
Yeah, listen to that. Yeah. God doesn't recognize another self. You were criticizing yourself for being bored.
Yeah.
That's a fractal. When you recognize that, that's the whole. To accept the fractal, to transcend it, by not trying to entertain yourself. Change your behavior. What's the behavioral change? Observe people. Accept your boredom. I'm going to experience boredom. Here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm bored. Now, that wouldn't have been boring. But since you were trying to think about how not to be bored, you didn't get the gestalt of it. Are you understanding that?
I had a judgment with being bored.
Okay, so accept your judgment and don't try to change it. Live your boredom. That's the transcendence. You have to become what you are as truth, and then you vibrate that experience, and then that's the magic of alchemy that changes that truth into another truth. How can you be bored in your own universe unless you're being lackful? Because your emotions are always so high. Always before, I'm going, but now I'm not going. Damn, what do I do? I'm bored. That's exposing yourself to the idea of your own vibrational, external, not God self. So it then becomes, I got an opportunity here to transcend my boredom. I can entertain myself, I can think of things, but I can sit here and accepting and allow my social memory complex in. Because when you do that, let's talk about rooms. She has nice spelling, Sly. So let's talk about rooms. We got time before lunch? Yeah. You guys good?
Yeah.
Which isn't really making her, because she's assigning to you, but it is attracting. So let's talk about rooms, okay? So right now you're in room A, and that room A is boredom. Boredom. Okay? So you're at the airport, sitting over there, JFK, waiting. That's a perception, isn't it? Because of time.
It's my manager meeting, that's okay. It's just an alarm for my meeting.
That is so
It goes off every Tuesday.
I'm
sorry.
That's like the whitest music you could have put on.
Elevator music on a cruise ship.
Did you think about that? That's funny.
I love it.
It is white.
That's fucking. It is white. It's
white.
severely white.
But it's like white elevator music like in Macy's or Nordstrom's. Like,
Get
It's
out.
like,
I'll get Jay-Z next time.
there you go, Drake. Here, I got
That's
some
some
Drake.
Jay-Z or Drake. So let's look at the rooms.
Mhm.
Good stuff. Pay attention. You're gonna get a deeper revelation. So the first thing that creates the room of A, which is A is fractal land. Remember, B is whole, A is fractal. We're referencing Seth's work here. So waiting. She claimed I have to wait. So that says automatically opens up another room. It's all in this, but it opens up the potential of what? What am I going to do? Because I'm absent of my high. Where's my high? My emotional. I'm going, right? And now, I have to wait. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And now that it's here, I'm going to be bored. So that's the thinking process that creates fucking nows. Nows. A chain of nows. So you can spend 10 minutes waiting, but you're waiting because you're claiming you're waiting. But if you don't wait, or if you do the work and recognize I am waiting, I'm bored, let me transcend. That work isn't boring, but it isn't high. That's why it's so easy to find the high and don't do the work, because the work isn't fun. It's transcendence of a self, deconstructing an identity that you've relied on your whole fucking life, and you're saying you don't get to feel good anymore. And you're looking at yourself, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? Right? Are you all with me on that? Okay. So you all know. So that boredom, because of waiting, created boredom, fortified A, and now I have to look for entertainment to get by, so I'll keep myself occupied in one way. So what happens now to change the room? Now watch this reality. This reality played out. She just talked about it, right? Everyone got it. She watched other people. She people watched. She entertained herself. Here's something to pass the time. Relax. It's not wrong. Okay?
We've all done it.
So, that moment where she saw herself, oh, I gotta wait. Wait a minute. It's okay. I'm now. I don't have to wait. I'm going to live now. She learns that and she allows whatever comes. So she recognizes her boredom and she goes, you know what? Instead of being bored, I'm going to do the work. So she takes this framework A and she adds an alchemy of acceptance of her potential boredom. Right? Potential boredom. Boredom. Right? But you can't be bored because she's not validating boredom, so she's not bored. Get it? She's recognizing from, right, the fractal awakener, I'm in framework A if I allow myself to be bored. We all on board with that? So instead of being bored, I'm going to choose to do the work and accept my boredom. I'm a God. This is a moment of work for me. So I'm going to accept. Look at me. I'm not bored because I'm working on my board. I really want to get entertained. Because I'm always happy and I'm always entertained and I'm always on the go. But right now I'm not. So I've given myself an opportunity to not let my external self run the show. So let me be my observant self, the observer. Recognize that I am bored, but I'm going to transcend it, which is not a state of boredom. It's a transcendent state because you're taking your boredom, you're taking your anger, you're taking your need, you're taking your hope, you're taking your anger. I keep saying that again. Your anxiety, and you're accepting it. In this case, it's boredom, which is equal to any other emotion. They have all values, but they're all lackful. They're all the not self, right?
Doesn't feel fun. Doesn't feel like vibration.
So, and we don't want to be fun because that's devouring the opposite side of polarity. We want to be signatures of nature, our natural self. That's where we're going. So we take deconstructing positive and negative, all emotion. So now that we are observing our boredom from the fractal awakener, okay, this right here is an observer. Observer is a transcending. Take 10 minutes to be bored, to live my boredom without trying to change it. Accepting your boredom is not being boredom. Accepting your boredom is transcending being boredom by being bored, not changing the boredom. The experience of boredom through acceptance is the outcome. Are you all getting that?
Yeah.
That's the fucking transcendence.
That's the hard part.
Well, yeah, it's hard from a perception. And it is hard because you're disrupting your own algorithm. So your algorithm tells you this isn't comfortable, so I'm going to give you uncomfortable truths because you're the truth of that. Remember, you're deconstructing polarity. So you have to deconstruct your happiness too.
I was just going to ask if
Yes.
maybe you could go that direction.
Yeah, we
with
want to.
this.
We want in a second. We want in a second.
Okay.
Okay. So right now we want to see how we automatically changed A, and now we're operating in room B. Because we're not being bored, looking to change being bored by finding more emotions. We're not validating over and over again the human idea. We've created the observer, which automatically moves us out of A into B, and that's the Ascension. Do that for 10 minutes, and then what happens? You get different thoughts. You get framework B thoughts, different ideas. You might even get some framework A thoughts like, oh, look at that, something's over here. Because it's trying to get your attention, because that's the person you are. The person you are is a fractal, a not God, and you want to sustain that because that's the only identity you know. God came here, not God. I am only not God. Why would I ever go back to something I'm not? I am a not God. So you continue that. Then you awake to it, and you've got to move over here, and you've got to be God and stop acting not God. Right? That's the behavioral change that changes you from room A to room B and grows in familiarity. Familiarity about being that state of being, about living not God. So ascending yourself through the transcendence of accepting your boredom, accepting your ego. When you got your loss, it hurt. So you accepted your loss, and it got better. And then you actually, for some fucking reason, which is insane to any unhuman, saw the benefits of it. Someone else is going to go, how could there be a benefit of losing that money? Are you fucking kidding? But that's different framework. How is that fucking possible? Because you're an alchemist. Because you're transcending that truth into this truth. And it might come up again a little bit, but it's not as harsh. It always cycles. So then, right there, when you get into framework B, you allow social memory complex back in. Because you're not enacting memory to try to think of something to get me back to my high, my emotional state of happiness. Right? You get that? That's the outcome. That's how it works. Dom, you good with this?
Once you surrender and you accept and you transcend, get that. What if that comes back again?
It does come back, but it's not as valuable as it was. It will not be a heightened sense.
Be as strong.
It's easier and easier because you're deconstructing the value of a lifetime of self. And it doesn't happen in one fell swoop, which is the society that you've grown into, instant gratification. I need it now. That's why you're all in debt, and that's why the banks love it, but the banks need you to be in debt or there would be no banks.
Yeah.
That's the economy. That's what you've created as a society. Not wrong. That's where the humans went. You change your world, you don't have to play in that world anymore. You think that's impossible? That's your framework A. You don't jump into framework B. You evolve into it. You return home. So the more and more you do that, the less valuable that anger becomes, that hope becomes, that need becomes, and you live more here, and then your gestalt starts to have room to come in and say, hey, here's a thought. And you're like, wow, what was that?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're focused on something that has nothing to do with framework A because it's about you, and you dive into it, which might stir up, Dom, more framework A algorithms. But that's the mastery of your game. You will constantly be working and recognizing your own beliefs, truths that keep you living.
And then before you know it, you're more in framework B more of the time.
More of the time. But you got to do the fucking
You
work.
gotta do the work.
So you can't clam up, you can't run, you can't hide. If you do, it's okay.
Yeah.
But then you got to be honest with yourself and say, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to myself. JB, you going to the restroom?
Yes, sorry.
No, you're
Don't
fine.
be sorry,
Don't
darling.
apologize.
Don't be sorry for your own existence.
We are.
Not in this class.
We all have the same bodily function. Why would you apologize for that?
So the pause. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, because I'm, you know,
It feels
feeling uncomfortable gets my attention enough that I've developed some awareness of, oh, here it is, I can do the work. But when I feel really good, I'm not really finding any reason
to stop
to do any work on that because it feels good. And so I think it would be valuable.
But then your discernment tells you, am I carrying this on because I like the way I feel? So I'm maintaining it.
Yes.
Then stop. Back off from it from that moment. It says, okay, I feel good enough. I don't need to continue. I can accept that my happiness was created by this external idea, and I'm feeling good about it. But I'm allowed to feel good about it, but now I don't need to maintain it.
It's like being full after eating something. You don't want to keep eating,
Stop eating.
but some
Does that make
people have
sense?
to do that.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like, I guess it feels a little bit like
Listen.
maybe it feels a little bit more, you know, like with the Abraham, like there's nothing more important than feeling good. It opens you up to different frequencies and
It
vibrations.
does, but it's
that are,
not permanent.
right. So that's where the balance of it is a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not a balance. Now you're talking Abraham.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a step stool to get the ones who are not asleep to that point to where we get here, and then Roxanne says, "Okay, we're gonna take it beyond what Abraham teaches."
Yeah.
Because that sounds great to always focus on the positive and do things that make you happy and follow your bliss. But what you're doing is you're just tipping that side of scale of polarity all the time.
Right.
That's
so
why you have to have balance.
So that's what I'm looking for, I guess, maybe the same level of awareness as the stuff that feels shitty, because it doesn't come into my
Because
awareness
shitty
as
is
food.
more noticeable, isn't it?
Yes.
But when we get happiness on this planet,
We want to keep it.
you want to keep it because why? Because it so feels good.
Feels good.
It's so infrequent.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that-
we have a lot of it.
How many of you are happy consistently for a long fucking time?
Yeah, it's been a while.
You have to work. We're not happy. This is Netflix. Good
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Work, children, drama, and you get very, very few moments of happiness. And when you get them, you want to, holy shit, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Hold on to it.
You want to hold on to it, recreate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or recreate it.
Mickey. Good, darling. See, that's perception. Now you feel that laugh?
Yeah.
That laugh isn't happiness.
Yeah.
That laugh is bliss.
Genuine.
Yeah.
You see the difference?
Yeah.
Difference.
You don't want a happy, because there's no because of that.
Natural. Yeah. You can't try to force that. It's natural.
Roxanne is fucking loving it.
Yeah.
Roxanne, I mean it. All right. So in the idea of Abraham, which is an outstanding teacher.
Yeah.
But would any of you go back to Abraham and listen to it?
No.
Because Abraham was a opener for you.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham has millions of people that are asleep that have the seeding of that word. Why would you stay there when you're the change? You come to the next thing. It's not a better thing, it's the next thing.
Yeah.
If it would have been Roxanne, it would have been whoever the fuck is teaching this vibration. You would have manifested that change. But since you do this one, here we are. So let's get the one. So Abraham teaches the idea of a state of being called happiness. And we want to pursue it. Right? So when you pursue something, what is that? P-U-R-S-U?
Sure.
Pursue something. What is involved in pursuit? Only one thing. Effort. There it is. But that's not wrong. That gets you used to the frequency, which also opens up, I'm more deserving of happiness. So it does work because it allows you to choose more happiness and it gets you to feel. That's perfect. But this is the next. That's all it is. So now we understand something. We don't need to pursue happiness. Now we understand it's a state of being. Signature. State of being. Unconditional love. State of being. It's what we are by nature. I couldn't have told you that 20 fucking years ago. I could have told you that 10 years ago. It would have not fit. It would have been a vibrational match. You're not Abrahamsters anymore.
But even Abraham has evolved that into allowing from effort.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's
Because
I went to
Abraham's
Abraham
gonna
after
evolve.
Roxanne.
Really?
Because I didn't ever study Abraham. But I started to figure out that, I need to get the framework from where Roxy and Sly and all this teaching is coming from, and even stuff I'm getting.
Yeah.
So I went back to Abraham for a year,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it
And
was
you
like,
hear-
okay, I think I got everything
See,
here
it's-
that didn't come through yet.
Now, here's the spooky thing. The Abraham that he created was the vibrational match of himself.
And there you
How
go.
many other people got that Abraham?
Mm.
Yeah, no. Zero!
Fuck. There it is.
Not fucking anybody else. Now you can understand mass collective, human collective consciousness, shared ideas, and you can understand your memory as well. Going back to Abraham, which is a different version of everyone else's Abraham. It's spooky. But you got to start thinking about my kingdom I create for me. Right? So if you use your memory, you were taught there's a balance. But balance can only have two sides. It can have a fulcrum in the middle, and then it can have its endpoints. So if over here is positive and over here is negative, then that's what you're going to be working in that framework, which is framework A. So you want to balance, you create balance. You're the one who says, I'm too negative, I need to be more positive. That's recognition for the awakeners. But you can't stay there, so you move, you advance. And now you take these concepts that are seeds and you nourish them, and now they're birthing the fruits to these concepts you're being taught about. So positivity, you can be positive, but don't seek positive. But when you get that joy, you remember when you cried on the phone with Roxanne, and you were so thankful, like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. And you had a genuine cry of total love, of total gratitude, of total thankfulness. That was you touching your worth. It wasn't Roxanne. That's the emotion that's not defined by emotions. That's the emotion of life, the absolute grace of being alive. To feel that bliss. It was a joyful moment for you, but that's not a pursuit of happiness. That doesn't sit here on a scale of permanency and limitation. Your version of happiness is created in the moment so great. Just because you don't get it every day doesn't mean it's not there. But you have to deconstruct all the things that are limited, including perceived happiness, chasing happiness, trying to make things happen for an outcome. which is very, very obtuse to the human structure, because the human goes, no, 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 no. We have to pursue happiness. We have to get better. No, you don't. You're fucking God. How do you get better than all that is?
Right?
You can't.
You can't.
You're already all of it. Make sense? So when you come across, your joyful times, you look at it, thinking, you look at it. It's like, okay, let's take your Easter egg hunt with your kids. Happy, fun time. But you knew that vibration was a worthiness. You weren't trying to make your kids happy. Otherwise, your kids wouldn't have had a good time. It doesn't matter that they're 20 years old, they're 30 years old, they're acting 5 and chasing things. It's not about that. That's the fucking ego mind judging. It's about, my truth is to create an Easter egg hunt with my kids so I can have the joy of life, not the happiness perceived. Right? That's what works. Because your relationship behind it. Remember, guys, it's not what you fucking do. It's the relationship behind it. If you're doing it for reasons, you're fine. Right? Anyone ever tell you, oh my God, you got to see this movie. It's the greatest movie ever. Oh, and you go watch it. What that fucking
As long as their happiness, they were trying to push on you.
Right.
Yeah.
They wanted you to feel the way they wanted you to feel.
Well,
That's effort. Don't do that. Their happiness comes in their own perception. Your happiness. Take care of your house. The more time you spend deconstructing the idea of polarities, the more nature of happiness comes in. And happiness is a very, very enormously diminished version of bliss. You can only have what you allowed through your own worthiness, your best happiness. Don't you understand that? You guys understand that, right? You can only suffer so much and you can only be so happy. It's all directly based on your worthiness. Change your worthiness, your happiness scale goes through the fucking. But you don't get emotional happy. You get the match of, oh my God, this is so me. How can I just do this? This right here is Roxanne's happiness. But she's not giddy. But she is absolutely on fire by getting to fucking teach, channel in front of people that want to hear her work. That want to understand what she's discovered. So she creates that reality. And you guys are creating your happiness. Right fucking. But not in pursuit, not in permanency, not in seeking, in realization. What is already underneath this entire mess of crap. But you have to chip away every fucking day at that crusted, particle-filled shell you've built around yourself. Because you are not God and you are scared. Right? You guys with me on that? What time is it?
12.
See if there's anyone out there yet. I'm not sure what time they're coming. I don't know if they're coming at 12 or 12:30. Anyone got to pee again? Yeah, go pee. Or do a TT.
So when you're recommending somebody a film, it's not that it's the relationship of why you're recommending. It's in the moment.
Yeah, if you're doing it because you want them the way you feel, you're fine.
Yeah.
But like Vicky comes to Roxanne and goes, hey, do you have anything to watch? And she goes, oh yeah, I had this one movie. Watch this. And she watches it. She goes, holy shit, that was awesome. But she didn't say, oh my God, Vicky, you gotta watch this film because I want you to feel the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine. Make sense?
Yeah. But it's not like you wait for someone to ask you. In the moment, you may feel excited from the conversation that, oh, I saw this and you mentioned it and you're done.
If
You
it
don't
feels
set it.
right, if it's
Yeah.
not a need,
Yeah.
that's the discernment. You have to start to feel your discernment between those two states of
Yeah.
being. I want them to feel like me, or I'm expressing, I saw this because the moment says yes to
Yeah.
that. That's
Just,
the slipstream.
there's no efforting, no pushing, and no
No,
forcing.
none. Who the fuck is effort and,
Yeah,
and pushing?
just-
I know a human